Hello and welcome back to the channel, How We Move the Decimal, and in today's video we are doing the books. This is a continuation of the book series, and we haven't got very far and it's kind of disheartening at this point. Plus we're all recovering from having the plague for 3 weeks. I'm on week 3 of this. My son had it for 5 weeks. He's finally feeling better. My husband's on week 2. The girls are avoiding it, but we managed to pass it along to my in-laws, so sharing is caring. If you have not followed this series, I bought a bunch of books at an estate sale. I offered them $80 for every book. I did not realize how many books there was. I just thought there was a bookcase of books, but when I said $80 for all the books, they meant all the books. So we went all over the house and found all the books in all the rooms, downstairs, in the garage. It was my husband, my son, and myself went all over this estate sale finding these books. And we've only gone through 4 tubs of them so far, and I want to say it's almost 300 books. There were 16 tubs total when we brought them in. I'm looking at around 1,000 books. I think I've listed 20. Again, way behind in life, but my contract ended this week. I'm filming this, recording this in the second week of May. My contract ends at the end of this week, and I don't start my next contract till August. So I will have a couple months to get my crap together, hopefully. Right now what I'm listing is a vintage travel guide. I will say as I'm listing these, I went through and photographed them on my phone. I found sell similars on my phone. I find it easier to list on the computer versus my phone. I don't know if I'm just old and it's more difficult for me. But a lot of times if I do the sell similars, I will take the pictures on my phone now that I have a nicer phone. And then I will just get on the computer and finish off the listings because I find that easier. Some people find it easier to list on their phones. My husband has no problem listing on his phone. I have a mental block when it comes to listing on my phone. So I will photograph it, sell similar, put on the computer and finish listing it. So that's what I'm doing here. Sorry, I have to keep muting. I'm coughing or like clearing my throat or whatever. Honestly, this is a lot better, which is kind of sad. And it'll give you more time to list on eBay because I have 2 weeks where I am not in work and my kids are still in school. So because of snow days and stuff, my kids are in school till after Memorial Day, which is really, really nice, which gives me time to kind of get my stuff together because I can't record videos when I'm at home with my kids because they're loud. And I do record them, and some of the videos you've watched on this channel have them in the background. I did put this old atlas, I did put that it was yellowing and had stains. I like to try to take as many pictures as possible, especially with these books. I try to fill the whole 24 pictures that you're allowed to have. They're vintage books. I want to do that. I will say I've been quite hesitant on the recipe books, photographing pages, because they have full recipes on those pages, and if anybody wanted to, they could go and then use the recipes off my eBay listing, which gives me a little bit of the ick. That's why a lot of times I use the book weights, and I will put them in the middle of a recipe or blocking some words so it's not as easy to take. But the old road atlases, don't throw them away. Some of them are worth something. The ones from the 90s, not necessarily worth anything. 60s, 70s, 50s, 40s, worth something. I will say, though, I am keeping the ones from the 90s and using them for junk journals and selling them as a crafting lot. So that can also work in your favor. Now, with this book lot, we got a lot of, I don't want to say personalized, specialized cookbooks. Cookbooks that belong to like universities and churches and organizations. I don't know. This lady had people sending her cookbooks from everywhere. They're like, one of the cookbooks was like, here you go. I know you wanted one from Georgia. So I want to know like what weird connected circle this lady was in that they exchanged cookbooks. It's very interesting, and I didn't even think about it until I read the inscription on one of the books. It was like, here you go, here's one from Georgia for you. And I was like, oh, is she trying to collect from all 50 states? Is she like part of a weird book club where they exchange like very specialized cookbooks? What's going on here? So now I'm even more intrigued. And I think that's one of the reasons I like to do estate sales. I know from comments I've gotten on my videos, a lot of you guys like to do estate sales too, because it's like a mystery. I love doing vintage slides, vintage photos. You know, what's going on in this picture? What were they doing? What were they thinking? It's kind of the same way with these cookbooks, because a lot of they're used. They are very well used. This person cooked out of them all the time. So I'm like, why did they have all these cookbooks? And was this their favorite recipe? I look back, I have a couple very personalized cookbooks that I have, and you can tell the recipes I go back and forth to. And in these cookbooks, you can tell, especially the ones she really, really liked. So there'd be like an oil stain on it, or the binding's not as secure as the other pages because she really, really used that. So I find that very interesting. And like, is it because of a family member she has this? Was she a member of this organization? Is she a member of a weird cookbook club that sends each other cookbooks from all the other states? What's going on here? Where, yes, I could go buy a lot of these cookbooks at a Goodwill or even an auction, but just buying them at an estate sale hits different for me, because in my mind, I have a picture of that person's house also. She had a lot of vintage Corelle. She had a lot of vintage Tupperware. She had a massive china cabinet. I think she entertained a lot or had a big family. She loved to cook. I don't know if she was good at it or not. I love to cook and I'm not good at it. So maybe she was a bad cook and it was a funny joke. Maybe her family's like, oh, she's cooking again. And, we, do the Midwestern thing where you throw the paper plate away and you flip it over so it's on top of the food you don't eat. So like stuff like that. As I'm going through the books, I'm like, okay, she really liked this recipe. She really liked to bake bread. So some of the books, like breads, are very used. The pages are very odd. She had like a Jell-O book. It's like, what are you making with Jell-O? And you can kind of date like when this book was. When I was a child, the Jigglers just came out, and I remember the Jell-O eggs. I know every parent tried to make the Jell-O eggs in the 90s. They were awful. I don't care what your kids said about the Jell-O eggs. They were absolutely awful. There was way too much Jell-O. It was jiggler format. It was an abomination to Jell-O. But I can date how old somebody is and be like, hey, have you ever had a Jell-O egg? And if they say no, I say you're too young. If they say, oh yeah, then I'm like, hey, you're around my age because you've had a Jell-O egg. But like stuff like that. So when we're going through her house, and again, I originally offered $80 because I thought all the books were these personalized, specialized cookbooks. I saw like a dining hutch, and it had 2 rows of these cookbooks. I'm like, $80 for those 2 rows. I thought maybe there was 100 books, little less than $1 a book. If I sell them for $5 a book, it's still a profit, and it's fun for me. So I was like, okay, cool, I got these books. And we ended up with 16 tubs of books. Like, I'm pretty sure my van was sitting differently when we drove away. My poor child had a box of books on his lap. I had a box of books on my lap. My husband didn't because he was driving, but there were so many books. They're like, oh yeah, keep on trucking. And we're like, what? I will say, I've only listed about 20 of these books because they're overwhelming. I've sold 2 things that came in the book lot that were non-books. There were quilt patterns, vintage Hawaiian quilt patterns that I've already sold one of, and that was $20. And I sold a Dragon Ball Z PlayStation game that fell out of a book that was $29, and I found $1. So I'm getting close, guys. I'm, about 50 some dollars in, and I only paid 80. So I'll make it back. It's just going to be a lot of sweat equity. And I know I'm not counting my hours, and everyone's like, you should pay yourself what you're worth. If minimum wage is $15 an hour, you need to make that back. Yeah, that's not happening. I have not listed anything in probably 2 weeks. Again, we were all dying in complete survival mode. My house is a tornado. It might be better just to light it on fire at this point. We're playing catch up just today, and it's 2:30 as I'm recording this before I have to go pick up my kids from school. Just today, I've done 6 loads of laundry, and the pile is still up past my knees. So we're doing 3 weeks of catch up here, and it's going to be rough. And every weekend is really busy right now until June, especially if you have children and multiple children. It's field trip time of the year. It's class party time of the year. It's 8th grade graduation. It's kindergarten graduation. It's all of these times of year right now. And even though I am not at work, I'm going to be physically at their school multiple times a week. I do have to do pickup and drop off. I'm not really free until after 10 in the morning with pickup and drop off. So it's like, and we have doctor's appointments and physicals and dentists and everything going on right now. So it's quite hectic. June is pretty hectic too. I will be gone for an entire week of June. So my husband will be on his own, packing, listing, shipping, eBay while I am gone. I will be at camp. And I'm looking forward to it, as you can tell. So June might be a bust also. I'll be camping for 2 of the 4 weeks of June. July's looking good though. We got nothing for July right now. So July might be good, and the first 2 weeks of August are good, except for if my contract starts early. And then it might not be as good. So I really have a month, a month to get things done. But it will be much nicer when summers are slightly more relaxed. Kids have activities, but not to the extent that they do right now. We don't have to get up in them early in the morning to do anything, so they tend to be in a better mood. And we spend a majority of our time at the water park because my kids are spoiled and we're kind of bougie. Like I said in my other video, I really love using the AI descriptions. I am absolutely total trash when it comes to writing descriptions on eBay, but I do make sure that what I want the buyer to see, I put first, because these descriptions are so fluffy. As a buyer myself, I would just skip right over them. I wouldn't even read the descriptions. Also, a funny side note, I talk with my hands. So as I'm talking into this microphone, my hands are like winging around in front of my face. Like you guys could see them. I'm making motions and descriptions with my hands. And I know you can't see them, but I find it very humorous. Maybe one of these days I'll put the webcam on and you can see me like hands fluttering all over my face. I accidentally hit myself in the face one day at work because I was talking so vigorously with my hands. So that's who I am. That's my life. Also, the reason I take the pictures on my phone and then go on my computer is I edit the pictures on my computer. I do the photo correction. Because I take a photograph on white with these books, I know what the color is behind it, so I can brightness it, I can adjust it, I can color adjust to what I know the background is to get more of a true color of the book. Plus, with the yellowing of the books and them being vintage books, it's so much nicer to take a picture on a white background so you can kind of get the extent of the yellowing, where if I took a picture on our wood table, which is from the 1970s and kind of orange anyway, it wouldn't show the yellowing as much because it would still look white compared to the table, whereas it being on a white, and it's a trifold board if anybody wants to know, that I got at the Dollar Tree. On a trifold board that's white, I can color tone it to that white. We all know what white looks like. This is a blue white. This is not a warm white. And that helps me then give a truer picture of the books. It takes me roughly 15 minutes to list 5 books. I could list faster. This is not including photos. This is not including photo editing because I do believe I photo edit before I record. So just the bare minimum, maybe half of what the actual listing activity takes me about 15 minutes to list 5 books. So in general, I'm probably taking 30 minutes to list 5 books. I know I'm slow. I know other people are way faster than I am, but this is my process. Thank you for watching my channel. Please like and subscribe and have a very productive day.